Introducing Instagram teen accounts. A new way to keep your teen safer as they grow. Like making sure they always have their seatbelt on.
All right, sweetie pie, buckle up. Good job.
Or ring the bell on their bike.
Okay, kid, give it a try. Nice.
Or remember their elbow pads.
Knees too, okay? Yep. There you go.
New Instagram teen accounts. Automatic protections for who can contact your teen and the content they can see.
A hilarious new stand-up special from comedy legend Jim Gaffigan, The Skinny, is coming to Hulu November 22nd. This Thanksgiving, see Jim in a whole new light as he gives you the inside scoop on everything from parenting teenagers to weight loss and gaslighting family members. For everyone in need of a happy hour, the new hilarious stand-up special Jim Gaffigan, The Skinny, is now streaming on Hulu.
Ask me, ask Iliza anything. It's time to ask. Ask me all your questions. Leave them in the Instagram comment section. Leave them on your Twitter or leave them on your Facebook. We'll see them, we'll read them, then we'll give you answers. You know it, I've got it. I've got the answer, the answer. You ask me, I'll tell you anything.
And on the holiest of holy days of the Jewish calendar year, Yom Kippur, I was booked at a casino in the Coachella Valley. And so that is where I spent the evening, driving 3 hours to get there. And I did not fast. I just didn't. Yom Kippur is a holiday where we say slicha, which means I'm sorry, and we ask for forgiveness. But fun fact, the Bible doesn't say anything about having to give forgiveness. I see you bitches. Stay salty.
Stay salty.
Every year I'm like, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of people who owe me apologies. I didn't feel like fasting. I didn't feel like going to services. I'm a bit of not a cowboy, but like a lone wolf when it comes to Judaism. Like I stand for practicality and logic. And the religion is great. I feel like I've done a lot this year and I wasn't going to not eat after 24 hours in Toronto, flying home, getting my car, going to this. So I had a lot of shrimp. So that's great. That's how I spent my high holiday.
Okay.
You don't care.
I care. We talked on your day. So your day. Your big day. Saw some meme that is going to be really funny when I explain it. Have you seen the film Terminator 2?
The one, I don't know. I've seen Terminator 2.
Look, there's the thing where the little Edward Furlong kid, they like call his foster parents, and Arnold Schwarzenegger like asks them some question. He's like, they're not your parents anymore. Like they've been taken, they've been killed. So in this meme, they're like, oh, are you Jewish? And he's like, yeah. And so then he's like, Happy Yom Kippur. The parents say it, Happy Yom Kippur. So he goes, they're dead. Because it's like no Jewish person says Happy Yom Kippur.
That's right.
And I was like,
that's like saying Happy Memorial Day.
Right. It's like not, or Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Well, I guess that's
not
happier
happy
now. Right.
Sure. Now that, this is, but whatever. You know what? People, they don't know. And you're supposed to say like a good Yom Tov. And I don't like saying that. Like once again, Judaism fails when it comes to like the cool thing to say.
It's not cool. It's
not cool. There's nothing cool about the word shul. Like it's a mystical, beautiful, ancient religion, but we have missed the boat when it comes to marketing.
Yeah, because Christmas isn't cool, but it has it's not cool. It's just very tied into culture of America.
It's more accessible. Like it's like, yeah, Santa.
Like it's associated with family.
I reject Elf on a Shelf. Like we don't need to go tit for tat with the Gentiles. We can
just the Jewish one.
I'm sorry, not Elf on a Shelf. Mensch on a bench.
Mensch on a bench, yeah.
Not that a shelf is holy, but you know how everyone loves a bench. Like I'm good. I'm anti putting a Jewish layer over anything that's already Christian. Like it's our Jewish pajamas. I'm like, pajamas have a very different connotation when it comes to Jewish people. And I don't need to wear matching menorah footies because we don't wake up in the morning with present. Like everyone can have their own thing.
Yeah.
No one's like, oh, it's my Diwali Halloween costume. Like, no, Diwali's Diwali. And
Right.
Hanukkah, Halloween's the Halloween.
Well, this is thrilling.
Don't say that. I'm just saying what and I drove back from Coachella and it was going to be my top of the cob. My husband, I'm telling you something now about me. Yesterday, my husband, Noah, met up with his friend and beloved chef Renee Erickson, and they went to Holbox, which is this Mexican, it's like Yucatan Mexican food, and it's seafood. And there's a restaurant that was like a stall, and it became a bigger stall, and it's got a Michelin star. And he brought me back something, which is a very sweet thing to do. And my whole life until I met him, I'd never been like, do you want me to bring you back food? Like, we weren't a family that brought people back food from restaurants. Like, if you're here, you eat. If not, you missed it. And he brought me back aguachiles, and it was the perfect thing to eat, getting home at 12:30 after a gig to just eat like some of the best aguachiles in the country. And I just sat there and I checked my Instagram and I fell asleep at 1 a.m. And
What's aguachiles?
It's like shrimp. It's like raw shrimp and juices and avocado and different things. It's outstanding. I love shrimp. I ate a lot of shrimp yesterday. I fucking love shrimp. And I'm just a little bit tired today. I did some family stuff and got to really hang out with my cousins who are little babies, and I got to scare them. And now I'll be the aunt that scares people. And it is so much fun to scare a little baby.
What'd you do?
I just hid behind the center island in the kitchen until he came around, and I went, rah! And then he cried, but then he ran to me when he cried. And I was like, that's right. Don't sleep. I got something for you. Give me that cookie.
Now, are they ever going to bring that child to your home again?
Because I was giving the parents a break. I'm just terrorizing their kid who's having the best time, mildly threatening a child. Like, I love to say, like, you will pay the ultimate price, which is just like a kiss, or I whisper hot soup in your ear. I want to do that for the neighborhood kids for Halloween. I want to be a witch, and I want to just heckle every kid.
But don't give them all kisses.
No, they don't get any kisses, but I'll just be like, you look stinky. No candy for you. Get out of here.
Then that kid's their parents are going to sue you for emotional distress.
100%. LA is not the place to
Don't
make a
have
joke
fun there.
about anything.
No.
Well, speaking of jokes, speaking of not joking about anything, you got some questions.
Well, I got to fight me.
Forgive the tone of my voice, by the way, folks. Oh, we got to fight me. Why do I always forget that? Let's do it.
Hello, Eliza and Emily. Today's Fight Me goes out to people who don't like the word moist. I've never heard any one of you have a calm, reasonable reaction when you hear the word moist. You are all always doing the most and making it a problem for everybody in the space that you are occupying. It is 2024. Not only should we have moved on already as a society, but it was never that serious. Fight me. Moist.
Dear Moist, the way it sounded at the beginning, I was going to be like, people need to get over moist. Who cares? So here's what I will say. It's hacky at this point.
Yeah.
I put moist up there with, oh my God, I threw up in my own mouth. Like, it's a thing that people think is like a cute hang up. And it's like, you don't realize, like, we've already done this. We all, when we were younger, were uncomfortable with the word because it has to do with the vagina. And the truth is, it's the best way to describe the best cake. So I know you don't like it, or like panties, but like most things are uncomfortable. So at this point, we all realize it's not our favorite word, but in vocalizing it, you are part of the problem. You're a bigger problem than the initial word, moist. You have superseded the problem.
Our question asker, though, is saying they don't like when people get all up in arms about the word. They're like, the word's fine. Yeah, okay.
I'm agreeing. Like, no, it's not ideal, but it's
not ideal.
it's up there with people who say adulting.
Ugh, yeah. Doggo.
Yeah, but by the way, it makes me angry. Doggo, littles. You cringe at this, Ray Dunn, like Live, Laugh, Love. But as someone who was on this years ago, I am so annoyed at people that are now like, oh my God, live, laugh, love. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry that you were a fucking freshman in college while I was out here actually adulting, hating this stuff already. And like now that you have like your own Instagram account, people act like they came up with hating stuff. I'm like, no, I've been here for a minute. It makes me want to throw up in my mouth. Oh my God, you're a comedic genius.
Before this podcast, you had another podcast, but right before this podcast, when we started this podcast, one of your ideas for a show was just talking about things you hate. And I think we decided that was tough week to week. But that
Really?
is your. Remember, we recorded like an episode, then we are kind of like, this doesn't really work.
Oh man, I'm so mad about these small things.
It was joyless. I remember that. I mean, that's basically what stand-up comedy is.
Right.
I dislike most things. And it's tough because you start to alienate your listeners who are like smart. When we're like, oh my God, I call my kids littles. I'm just here to tell you as a comic that it's hacky. And not being hacky may not be, as a mother of 3 in Missouri, like your top priority in life. But from the comedy police, I'm letting you know it's hacky. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I know being thankful is on everyone's minds, and with thankfulness comes gratitude, a concept that, honestly, really bothers me. I'm tired of thanking everyone else. You know who deserves a thank you? Me. You deserve a thank you. When's the last time you thanked yourself? Sometimes it's hard to remind ourselves that we are doing the absolute best we can. So here I am reminding you to send some thanks to the people in your life, but mostly send some thanks to yourself. And a great way to do that is with therapy. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and it's suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and you get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time, no additional charge. You don't have to travel anywhere. They take the hassle out of finding that perfect therapist. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Iliza today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Iliza. Fall has fallen. Winter is on its way. The days are shorter. But just because, well, they feel shorter. And just because the days feel shorter doesn't mean your to-do list gets any shorter. You still have to power through your busy days. And a great way to do that is with nutritious food from Factor's no prep, no mess meals. At the end of a short day in the fall or the winter, the last thing you want to do is have to cook. Factor has got you covered from breakfast, snacks, dinner, anything in between. Factor has easy, nutritious options to keep you fueled, like their chicken Florentine with spinach and garlic chili cauliflower. You bet. That's what I want to make myself at the end of a day where I am exhausted and my husband isn't home. Whether you like routine or you enjoy mixing things up, Factor has you covered with 35 different delicious meals every week and over 60 additional convenience options you can add on, like keto cookies, pressed juices, and smoothies. And because Factor meals are chef prepared and dietitian approved, you're going to love not only Factor's meals taste, but also how they support your goals, even if your goal was just making yourself dinner. Head to factormeals.com/Iliza50 and use code Iliza50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That's code Iliza50 at factormeals.com/Iliza50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. So finally, fall is here. I have been looking forward to it. I have had a hard year in a good way. You know, like I had a baby. I have been on a nonstop tour, nonstop traveling, and it's been hot. So I'm looking forward to, of course, pumpkin spice, everything, cooler weather, and slipping into a cozy sweater from Quince. I've talked about Quince before. Quince has beautiful leather jackets, cotton cardigans, soft denim, and so much more. All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Dressing expensive doesn't have to be expensive. Their clothing is beautiful, it's durable, it stands the test of time, and it's what I like to call a capsule wardrobe. I got an Italian wool cocoon coat. That's one of those, you know, it's got like a European collar and it covers my butt so I can walk around New York City and not be chilly. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. Get cozy in Quince's high-quality wardrobe essentials. Go to quince.com/Iliza for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Iliza to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Iliza.
All right. Well, that's a fight. Now we have a follow-up. We have a Patreon follow-up.
Folks, we just started this free Patreon. We have 746 people signed up. We are doing this because we have something very huge planned.
No.
Why are you such a
fucking stick in the mud? Because I as someone who listens to someone subscribes to Patreon, you're doing the marketing. We created this Patreon for a genuine reason, which is It has chat boards. We can all talk. You're not bound to Instagram to talk to us and each other. So we have multiple chat boards. We have a pet board that's popping off. We have another place for questions where people are asking their questions. And then other listeners are already like weighing in like, ooh, what about this? Like talking to them about their questions.
Don't do that. You're all here for only my advice. No, I'm a medical doctor.
No, it's good. So we're creating a community because it's fun. Now, could this platform host other things in the future more so than just Instagram? Yes, but that is not the only purpose of this platform. You're making it sound like we're
stealing your data.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm just saying we have something really cool planned for the show coming up. And the more you interact with that Patreon, the more likely it is that we will use those questions. And we have always said that we have an amazing community around this show.
Yes.
And I did want a place for people to commune and have access to material. And it will transform into something else. But right now, it's a free Patreon. Go to Patreon, look me up. It's the only thing on there. And join us. It's free.
It's free. Put your pet pics in there. I'm trying to go and look at everybody's pets. There's so many of you, but they're all very cute so far.
Show me your half-blind dog named Bailey. She's a pit dragon mix, and she's a sweet girl.
I haven't seen any duds yet. I tried to pick up my dog Bella yesterday at the doggy daycare, and they tried to give me a different dog. And
What's his name? Bella.
Well,
yeah, they're like, which lab pit?
She's a black lab, so they brought me a different black lab, and I'm like, no.
There's no way you could tell the difference.
I didn't have my glasses on, and for a brief second, I'm like, I take the leash, and I'm like, this isn't my dog. And then they leave. I said, oh, it's my parents' dog, whatever. And the guy goes, I'm glad I had heard you say that, because otherwise I would have been worried that you didn't know who your dog was.
Don't police me.
Leave me alone.
Which elderly black lab with enlarged nipples do you want to take home? They're all named Bella.
Right. I could take any of them. Leave me alone.
Yeah, it's a dog name. That girl from the vampire movie. What was Kristen Bell? Wasn't her name Bella in those vampire movies?
Kristen Stewart.
Kristen Stewart.
Yeah, it was
Kristen Bella. She's named after a dog. Okay. All right.
Okay. So we have a follow-up from Patreon question last week where somebody was saying their kids weren't invited to the wedding. Other kids were. You had several questions.
You know what? Go back to Vice President of Meats and Cheeses if you want to hear the episode.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way.
Listen to it with full commercials from top to bottom, please. Thank you so much.
Please know that we had talked about calling the episode VP of Meats and Cheeses, and that rolls off the tongue better. But I was like, SEO-wise, I'm going to put the words Vice President in there to really get us some hits.
Sorry, Kamala, we had to pull focus. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the response from Sarah. I am coming from out of town, as is one of my cousins, 3 brothers. The groom and third brother live in LA already. So number one, she's bringing these kids from out of town, which we thought should mean the kids should get to go if other kids get to go. Number 2, my kids are regularly praised for their good behavior, so I would hope that I would have been told if they had behaved poorly. Number 3, all the kids involved, going and not invited, are between 6 and 11 years old. Number 4, I decided not to make it into a thing and just taking this as a clear sign we aren't as close as I thought and I can stop wasting emotional energy on this side of the family. My mom reached out to express her feelings that her grandkids aren't considered part of the family, so I can't then pile on. I'm just going to hang out with my sister-in-law and brother and husband. We might just go out in LA after putting in an appearance. Great.
No, it's not great, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Well, like, there is the school of thought where I'm like, great, be unbothered. Like all those meme things and like, who cares? But you do care. And I think this is hurting your feelings. So I do think if this is something that because you're not going to let this go. It's like, this thing's like, great, now I know where I stand. Peace. I guess we'll just leave your fucking wedding. I'm curious. We can't let this go. When your mom brought it up, why aren't you telling us what they said? Your mom brought it up to her son, right? It's your brother?
Yeah, it's a cousin.
Okay. So that means it's your mom's sister's kid or something. Your mom brought it up. What was the answer? Because that is fucked up to invite someone from another state and say you can't bring your kids. So I really think for the sake of your connection with these people whom you seem to love, it's worth asking. Because just to get the clarity, if they're like, I know, like, we are at max capacity and I thought you'd understand. We thought you had a sitter. Like, I think it's worth asking because I don't think you're like unbothered, sipping water, skincare. Like, I think this does bother you because that's a shitty thing to do, to leave their wedding that they paid for you for halfway through to like go out. Like, that's your way of being like, well, fuck you. So I think this is bothering you. But if you want to create that rift that they've already created, if you want to make it bigger, I mean, go for it. Who cares? Because you're going to have a hard time if they're then weird to you, or if they're like, hey, you left, then you will be stuck holding the emotional bag because they hit you. They didn't realize they had done it. You hit back deliberately. And now you're the one that's going to have to be like, yeah, I left early because you said I couldn't bring my kids. So you obviously didn't care about us. And they're going to be like, what? It's going to be too awkward and it's going to make you even more uncomfortable. I know in your mind, you're like, and here's what I'm going to do. Like smooth revenge, soft power. But like, just be careful. It might make a bigger hole.
That's fair. That's very fair. Yeah. If you're genuinely unbothered, great. I don't think very many people are genuinely unbothered.
No. And if you weren't planning on like a little revenge sesh by like leaving the wedding early, if you were just going to go and be like, that's what it is, great. Then you can internalize that. But then you're going to be thinking of ways to like get them back forever.
You should, if it's an open bar, drink as much as you can just to get your money's worth.
That's right. And your kids, get your kids drunk. Be like, I had to bring them. Let me know what they said when your mom said something. We're still not getting all the info here. You know what? Why don't you give me the cousin's email?
We're going to start harassing.
It's a lot.
We're adding a tier to Patreon where we harass your family.
You know what? I will do that.
No.
Give me $100 and I will. I will email any problem you have. I will email a coworker, a friend. I will do that for you and I will lay it out how they're feeling. And that's what I will do. I'm happy to do that. I got nothing but time.
You have no time, Iliza. Are you kidding me?
There's this like hour where I get up in the morning before I go back to bed where I pee. Yeah. And I'm trying not to check my phone. I could do it then. Okay,
that's when you'll send angry emails on behalf of listeners.
Yeah, there's 15 minutes in the morning that I dedicate to rubbing the dog's belly, but I could do 7.5 minutes. And then just rubbing her 8 nipples, and then I can write this email. I could do it one with each hand. Okay.
Okay. We have another question from the Patreon from,
Juicy.
I'm going to call them E, who says, voluntarily old maid myself? Hi, everyone. Looking for all the big sister womanly advice here. Context, 34-year-old single female. I've been blissfully single, finding and loving myself for 5 years. I own my own home and live in a big city in the Midwest. As we all know, the dating scene after COVID is horrid on the apps. My dilemma, a life goal of mine is to move out to the country and build my own little country oasis for my animals and gardens. Ideally, this dream would be better shared with a partner to build it with, but I don't want to wait around forever for Mr. Right. Do I move out and start building my dream and hope it will attract the right one when the time is right? Or do I stick it out in the city for a bit longer where it's easier to meet a wider variety of people? I'm pretty creative and introverted. I'm happy working on house and art projects alone a lot. I can be extroverted when I'm out socially, but I don't mind being alone. I just don't want to hermit myself too early. Also, if I were to move, it'd be about a 1 to 3 hour drive to get to a bigger city to go on a date, which is still doable for the right people. Am I insane? Now, a little bit more context. Living in the country, I'd be closer to family. I'm very close to my family and enjoy spending this adult time with my parents while they're still young and active, about to retire.
That's interesting. Because normally when you get, the second you said, like, do I old maid myself? I was like, this is so annoying. This is what girls say. When they're like, I can't find someone. Is it over at 34? No. You are in like the prime of your youth. If you don't want to have kids, there's less pressure. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like you do. It's tough because you don't want to put a clock on it. Do you have this house picked out? Do you have the money? Are you able to just do it? There's a lot to be said for making yourself happy. But if you know that it would be a hole in your heart if you didn't have the partner, I think it's worth making it your job to date. And I know that it's hard and I know that the apps are difficult, but you know, you fish where there's fish. If you move out to the country, I definitely have friends who live in rural areas and it's like, you can see who's at the bar that night, but chances are at 34, like, especially in a rural area, like those people are already married. So maybe, because you said you spent the last 5 years like loving yourself, being single, that sounds like that was deliberate. Maybe you put that intention out there and you try to be a little bit more of an extrovert and you really, look, dating is hard. We all know that. Dating on apps is hard, but there are good guys out there. Okay? So maybe it is making an effort to go out more. He's not just going to magically appear, or she. making that effort and at the same time making plans for that house. Visiting exactly where you want, getting the contractor. Like you can still move in those directions. I just wonder if you met someone tomorrow who was your soulmate, would you still have this desire? And I'm not saying it's right or wrong to push yourself away from society and be surrounded by animals. When people do that, a lot of times it's this, not a trauma response, but it's like something unfavorable has happened to me. So I'm just going to surround myself with animals away from people. But I don't think that you're there yet. So it might be worth just going down that path a little bit. And then if it hurts or you get fed up or you really feel that there's nothing there, then do the house maybe in a year or so. And hopefully the right person will just want that. But also like you don't want to meet someone and be like, great, move into my sanctuary out here. Because that's your space. So just give yourself, at 34, women get so scared. Just give yourself, just take some of the pressure off. Don't go just yet.
I feel like the reason I think she is committed to moving out there and that it makes sense is because her family is out where she'd be moving.
Yeah, but you can't sleep with your family and you can't marry your family. And your family is your family because they all found someone to be with. And it sounds like that's something that you want. So maybe this next year or so is a little bit more extroverted. And it's not about being with yourself and working yourself, and you put yourself out there a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's what I think, because it doesn't sound like that's what you've been doing, at least based on what you wrote.
Right. There's no way when you get out there, you're going to be like, yeah, I'm willing to drive 3 hours for a first date. Absolutely not.
Well, first of all, you shouldn't be driving anywhere. He should be driving to you.
Don't tell him where your house is.
Or just in the town, not to your house, or like halfway. But that's just kind of like unsexy. And so you're limiting yourself where this house with the animals will be your only thing unless you meet some like hot traveling horse vet. So I just think we tend to, as women, be like, I guess there's no one for me, so I'm just going to do a total 180. Just relax. At 34, you're totally fine. And you just need to see what's out there and really work at it. Not in an annoying way, but in a way that you haven't before. And then by all means, you can always get that house with the animals. That's always the plan B. And by the way, when you meet people, like, be honest about what you want. Like, my goal is to move to the country with these animals. And I mean, most men will be like, shit, yeah, that sounds great. No kids, just a llama and me. A tub of lube. I'm into it.
Oh,
what?
Not for
Why did you say, why would you make it's a family podcast?
Yeah, gather the family round for Ask Iliza Anything.
I've noticed that, at least since I've had my babies, that I smell differently when I sweat. Maybe I'm just like getting older. I don't know, but I smell differently. And I don't love that. If I'm on set or if I'm on stage or if I'm doing anything like functioning in public and I don't want sweat stains or to be aware of my stinky, stinky pits, that's when I turn to Lumi Whole Body Deodorant because it keeps me smelling fresh all day. Lumi is seriously safe to use anywhere on your body. Pits, under boobs, right ladies, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, your feet. It's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. How? Well, unlike certain traditional deodorants that may try to mask odor with a fragrance, Lumi is formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts. Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. If you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off the starter pack. Use code Iliza for 15% off your first purchase at lumideodorant.com. That's code Iliza at LUMEDEODORANT.com. The holidays are here. And for a lot of us, the holidays mean decorating, hosting, celebrating. For me, it means a lot of traveling, and nothing feels better year round, but especially during the cozy holidays, than a restful night's
sleep in soft, luxurious sheets. Boll & Branch's signature sheets are made with the finest 100% organic cotton, and they get softer with every single wash. You already know that I got Boll & Branch this summer when I needed breathable sheets to sleep in, but this holiday season, I'm actually gifting some of my friends and family Boll & Branch's Ultimate Softness Bundle. I get to choose a signature hem sheet set in any color, a signature hem pillow set, and a waffle bed blanket. And they're all getting juniper because I think it's a classy color. This way you know you have something nice to sleep on when you visit. It's the perfect gift for you and them. Gift you and your loved ones a better night's sleep with Boll & Branch. And right now is their best offer of the entire year. For 25% off plus free shipping on your first set of sheets, head to bollandbranch.com/Iliza. That's Boll & Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/Iliza for 25% off. Limited time only, exclusions apply. See site for details.
We have another question from Patreon. Hey, Iliza and Pod Squad. Longtime listener, first time on Patreon. Hooray. I think this juicy question is pretty unique and could really use your hot take. Note, all of the characters in this story will have fictional names of well-known figures to help you catch a vibe.
Okay.
Context.
I like that.
My best friend Sabrina Carpenter founded a local support group. It's pretty informal and has an artsy vibe. Kat Cohen. Yes.
Right, so this Sabrina Carpenter has nothing to do with Sabrina Carpenter's attributes, like other than like she's short, or this is just a name, so it's easier.
Says help you catch a vibe.
So that's what I'm saying.
So I think like maybe bubbly, little,
like sexy but tiny.
Yeah. Because Kat Cohen, attend regularly. I need to Google. Let's see.
Just
are we
like
old?
Any Jew.
Kat Cohen is a comedian, actor, singer, and poet based in New York City. So yeah.
I don't know. Okay. All right.
Attend regularly, and I'm kind of her right-hand woman. This problematic guy, Jack Sparrow, started coming to every single meeting suddenly after moving here from a neighboring state. I also have to deal with him at all the local open mics, and he sort of weaseled his way into a few of our communities with our mid-sized Midwest city. Safe to say, there are infinite examples of his off-color behavior, so I tried to narrow it down. First of all, Jack is 39 years old, and me and Sabrina are both 25. All ages are welcome to the group, but most members are 20 to 30, besides a few moms. So Jack is already bringing a weird energy. He's a sort of punky, emo musician guy, so sometimes he shares weird poems during our free writes, stuff like that. But we didn't think too much of it at first. Almost a year ago, first major red flag, Jack wanted me and another local female artist to open for him, Gag Me, for a mental health awareness concert, and wanted Sabrina to help plan it.
Okay.
She has a big presence in our town, so she's used to having to say no to these types of unpaid requests for her presence, clout, and expertise. Yet, he continued to reach out to her connections as well as his corporate retail employer and secure a venue. We had beef with the venue that we used as an excuse to get out of the event, but we should have been able to decline politely without weeks of his incessant lingering in doorways and manic follow-up texts. A few months later, we went to a concert at a local bar and Jack was there. He was uncomfortable because his, quote, toxic ex was there. Red flag. I will say, said ex is not a great person. I'm biased because she once failed to pay me for a gig, but I digress. So maybe she is toxic, is what I'm saying. They had met and broken up within like 6 months, so it didn't seem like some huge dramatic thing, just a bit of ex proximity anxiety. Sabrina made a comment like, well, I'm staying next to you, so maybe she'll be jealous, haha. And he took that as an invitation to cling to us all night. Many declined offers to buy her drinks, etc. She even tried to escape his presence and ended up sitting on the lap of her ex-coworker. Let's call him Stanley Tucci, even though he's not that relevant. She thought Jack would get the message, but he still stood right there, even when they started kissing on the bar stool, just hovering like a sad puppy. This is when we realized we had a deeply problematic situation. Since then, the red flags feel nonstop, like the way he lurks after our group meetings, often offering to walk us home, his weird friendship with this 17-year-old girl we know, and his unsettling habit of name-dropping us as close friends, as if he's inner circle material just because we belong to a few shared communities. At this point, we almost fear being associated with him. The pinnacle of cringe last weekend, Sabrina's birthday party. His behavior was so strange that our friend, let's call him Andrew Schultz, essentially staged an intervention the next day. Jack was rude and dismissive to Sabrina's boyfriend, sang cringy karaoke all night, and his eyes were glued to her all night, just generally contributing an unpleasant vibe to an otherwise fantastic night. He also asked if he could put his guitar in her apartment before the party since she
Ew.
lived close to the venue. I'm
No.
100% sure he often leaves his guitar in his car safely. And it was a private party at a sushi bar. He could have brought it in. So it was obviously an excuse to come over after the party and linger, which he did. Everyone else went home, even her best friends. It was like 3 a.m., dude.
Yeah.
We know for a fact several people have missed our group meetings, even stopped attending altogether in some cases because they know he will be there. I've personally skipped quite a few concerts and open mics to avoid him. These days, I refuse to let some shitty dude get in the way of my art, and I can hold my own at large music events with mostly male attendees, but the support group is obviously more intimate. It's hard to navigate speaking up in that environment. We've tried confronting him to no avail. Do we need to hire the mob to intimidate him? Stage a coup? Some suggested reaching out to his family, but the only relative we're aware of is his dad. We're pretty sure that won't go well. What should we do? Thanks in advance, XOXO Cat.
That's hard because he's obsessed with your friend and it's inappropriate that he's 39 and she's 23. I know in LA we're like, that seems healthy, but it's hard because I'm getting a grip on what it is you have, but it's an artist community and you guys are, it's basically here's what it is. And this is what it is usually. You and your girlfriend who are young want to make art and heal from whatever and have your social circles. And there's this weird older guy interloper who brings nothing to the table and is just trying to, I almost said get his dick wet. That is so gross, but it's true, is using this community to get closer to her. And so you're doing the girl thing where you're like, okay, well, he's allowed to share and you're allowed to be part of it. I deeply do not believe that all spaces are for everyone. I just don't. You know, you want to, there are places that women need to gather to heal. There are places that people who have gone through something of all genders or colors, whatever, need to, you know, if you've been assaulted or something, or an AA or something, people who genuinely aren't going through those things really don't belong in those spaces. You know, you're indigenous peoples, you want to have a meeting about that. Like, you don't need to go to that if you're not that. Like, queer spaces, like, this isn't about, I mean, I've been sued for this. I'm like, sometimes women just need a space. And it's like, what about me as a man? I need to be in there. It's fucking weird. And what's scary is that you said you've confronted him. He doesn't care. And you said that Sabrina's boyfriend, so not the ex she was making out with, I don't know if I love Sabrina, has said something and this guy didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you said that your Andrew Schultz friend has tried to stage an intervention and the guy didn't care. Here's the truth. One day, this guy will disappear without a trace.
Correct.
Because when I was 23, we definitely had guys like in the comedy scene, problematic or other, who were just there and you're like, what the fuck? And then one day you're like, oh my God, what was that guy's name?
Right.
And he's just hanging around you because you're powerless. You're not going to hurt him. He's not going to get the hint.
Right.
I know plenty of men that are like this, that are just like, what? I'm just harmless. The guitar thing is super creepy.
Yeah.
It's weird to me. I think you're at a point where all you can do is I think you you block him from your Instagram group. I think you guys just change the day that you're meeting. You can send him an email and be like, you can be like, you are no longer welcome because of these things, but you cannot deal with him. If he's not hearing this from another man, like her own boyfriend was like, dude, you need to back off. It's scary because you don't want him to like take it out on you. You need to, Cat, need to stay as away from this as possible, because he will start to look at you like you're keeping Sabrina from him. She also needs to fight her own battles. And if you really want to focus on your art, it cannot be also like protecting your friend, who, by the way, would not be doing this for you. I just want to put that out there.
We're so anti-Sabrina. I
don't think 23-year-old girls are capable 25. Of this level of of protecting other girls at that. You're dating your boyfriend, you're off being cute, you're this like maven of whatever scene you're talking about.
Yeah.
If she cared about you, she would also be like, hey, my friend needs a safe space. You're making us uncomfortable. Seems like we're doing a lot of work to protect Sabrina. She needs to, and I feel bad for her, but her and her boyfriend need to think about that. And you need to start making other friends within the circles of this community. And just stay away from this guy. Avoid him. He will stop talking to you because you are not what he wants.
Yeah.
You can let him know how you feel, but you can also just do it LA style. Just start to distance yourself. Hey, bye. No text, no DMs, nothing. You don't have to be rude, but you can be cordial. Hey, good to see you. Okay, bye. Done.
There are two parts to this. One being that it sounds like you've created this group where you free write, you do open mics, you do all these things together. He is not in this group in the spirit of what this group is meant
That's
for.
right.
He is there to find young, vulnerable women. So one option is to make your group more official, make there be some kind of membership, make there be an application, write an essay,
No, nobody
fill
likes
out
an application.
Please,
Every woman will hate you. I'll hate you.
Okay, but to official, because
private.
otherwise he can come. But the
Yeah,
other
okay.
thing here is it sounds like you all, not that you're asking for it, but that you're being nice as women are. You're being polite.
I said this at the beginning.
But Sabrina said specifically, and this is, it's not her fault, but for her to say, ooh, I'm standing near you. Maybe your ex will be jealous. Now,
that's right.
You should be able to joke with people, whatever. That's what he is clinging on to. I would guess you are still both being polite. I would go beyond.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
This is partially why I don't love Sabrina.
I don't love that she said that.
We already knew that this guy was a creep.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure based on your timeline. There's a version where she didn't and you guys were just like buddies and it's like flirty and that's fun and it's like cute to get attention. But I think we already knew this guy was awful.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm sorry, a grown man, a 39-year-old man staying in a place, allowing an ex. It's not like it's reverse where it's like, oh my God, that's my ex and he and I'm a woman, he used to abuse me and like, I don't know what to do. You're a grown man and you're like, I'm going to stay in here and I'm going to seek shelter from this woman by this 25-year-old girl. That's not the way the world works. So either he's doing it for attention, he is this broken, in which case, again, he does not need to be seeking the care from a group of 25-year-old girls. He needs like clinical attention. But I do think Sabrina was just like kind of like loving it. And now it's like gone a little too far. And it's like, dude, this is not about dressing like this. Like you said, you asked for it, but come on, like get a fucking clue. That's why I'm saying like spend less time defending Sabrina and worry about yourself.
Don't be polite to him at all. Eliza, you said be cordial. Be like, there's a thing called gray rock. You just don't engage. Don't smile. Don't giggle at his jokes.
No.
Fully just nothing. Give him nothing and he's going to go find some other young woman to bother.
Yeah, give him less because, again, it's not about you. It's about her and you might be the way in. So, yeah, I said cordial just because I didn't want it to ignite anything. Like, but yeah, give him as little as possible. Great. Got to go. Bye.
While also, I think women are in general aware of how polite they need to be for their safety. So just ride that line.
Right, that you're absolutely right. And it is a thing where we have to giggle or think that this is okay because we're genuinely afraid for our safety. Yeah. Something that people who listen to the Joe Rogan podcast were livid with me for suggesting, but I think all those guys are dead now.
They're all listening to Andrew Tate now, so safe.
God, enjoy your human trafficking ring.
Yeah.
So there's that. But now that you see what like a scuzzy, broken weirdo this is, remove. There's other parts of your community you can be part of. And Sabrina needs to get a fucking clue. And also her boyfriend needs to step in.
Yeah.
But you guys, to Emily's point, changing the time that you guys meet. Like you can't spend all of your energy trying to avoid this guy, but the less attention you give him, it does not need to be your problem. Like you don't have time for this.
Yeah.
One day you'll just be like, oh, I heard he moved to like Cleveland. Oh yeah, I heard he accidentally got someone pregnant. He moved away.
Yeah.
Guys like this always self-destruct. We've had so many comics in the comedy community where like for years, I'm like, you were just like a manic lunatic. And now you have like a baby and you've decided to act like a person and we're all just supposed to like treat you with respect. Like it's this thing that guys do where it's like, yeah, I was a dick, but now I'm okay. And you're like, cool, you were so damaging for so long to so many people.
Oh, I have a daughter now. It's cool.
I talk about it in my act. I'm like, oh, cool. So you learn to be a fucking intelligent human being only after you realize that half the planet matters.
I feel like that really happens a lot. Your joke about it is great. And I feel like it's very specific. It happens even more in the male comedy community where I'm like, oh, you were disgusting. And now you're like, I have a kid. It's like,
because I accidentally got some woman pregnant.
Yeah.
So I accidentally got some woman in the suburbs pregnant and now I guess I'm part of her family.
Right.
No. You don't need to think about this guy. And just trust me as a comedian who has dealt with men like this, who has dealt like men like this and watched men like this. He is a train wreck. Yeah. Let him wreck himself. Let him train wreck.
Yeah.
Like just give him just enough rope to hang himself and just be nowhere near when he actually does it. Metaphorically.
All right. Do you want to talk some politics? Just about friends not getting along, because we've answered questions along these lines, but I think we're getting closer and closer to the election. So I think it's an interesting topic. What election? Yeah. I'm in a state that matters. It doesn't matter what you do in your state.
Oh, that's true. Isn't that weird? All of a sudden, Pennsylvania matters.
I know. All right. Hi, Liza and Emily. Greetings from a fellow elder millennial. I'm almost exactly the same age as you, a few months younger. I'm hoping for some sage advice on a situation I find myself currently in. Do politics sometimes mean ending a friendship? This is my big question. Now, Eliza, on the side, we've talked about dating and politics. And I think we've had a couple different conversations, but I still think that this is interesting. Okay. I have a friend I've known over 20 years since college. In the before Trump times, we could disagree politically, but it wasn't a big thing. The hatred between parties was or seemed less back then. I think it's so much worse because of Trump. My friend was saying the most hateful things about Democrats when we were catching up over the weekend. She believes the most bizarre conspiracy theories, like the Democrats were responsible for January 6th. It's just so extreme. My friend is, I know.
Sorry, that's so weird to say that.
Did you know that Democrats are also responsible for the storms? Have you heard?
Oh, actually, no.
Hurricanes?
I just want to put this out there.
Yeah.
People say Democrats, but they're coding it. What they actually mean are Jews. Like, people think Jews control the weather.
Right,
I'm just saying, like, that's a very coded anti-Semitic thing, just so you know.
It's so interesting that Republicans love Israel and hate Jewish people.
Oh, it's so interesting that there's no logic and they just make stuff up. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
All right. My friend is way too educated and smart to fall for this shit, yet apparently she has. She also has some way extreme attitudes about abortion, which deeply hurt me. She has never been pregnant and perhaps doesn't understand because of that, but it doesn't excuse the disregard for women's rights. I feel like she's been brainwashed. I don't know what to do or think about it. Even most Republicans would likely acknowledge that the conspiracy theories are BS.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with Republicans, but I don't say hateful things about them. My friend knows I don't like Trump, but I've never attacked her personally. And there are Republican politicians who I like as people, as much as you can like someone you've never personally met, but just don't agree with their policies. Case in point is I always thought John McCain seemed like a good person, but disagreed with him on policy. So how do I handle this? It feels wrong to cut out a friend I've known for this long, but I'm also hurt by how hateful she is to me by default. She's seen my Kamala t-shirt and knows I'm a strong Democrat. She has a history of making excuses for men's behavior, including Trump and her husband, instead of ever acknowledging that they're wrong.
Which is also like his political agenda. And she's like, well, me too, because my king thinks that.
Exactly. She clearly believes all the lies Trump tells and seems to have a newer hate for Democrat. Hopefully she'll separate from her husband soon, as she's been talking about it. And I think he might be at least partly the root of the problem. I think he believes all this conspiracy nonsense and probably has Fox News blasting all the time. I know he hates Democrats and is a complete asshole. I blame him, but I don't know for sure that's why she's acting this way. To make this even more complicated, I've been trying to be supportive of my friend as she's realizing that she needs to get out of her abusive marriage. I saw problems from day one, but she was in denial for over a decade before she finally started to acknowledge the reality. Her husband is very emotionally manipulative and abusive. Feels like to approach her with my concerns about the way she treated me and the hateful outlook she has towards, frankly, most of the population in our very blue city would be even harder given her marriage troubles. But she talked about Democrats as if we're evil. Do I cut her out anyway on the grounds that morally we're too different? Or does that make me a bad friend since she's going through so much? I don't want to surround myself with hateful, bigoted people. Thank you for reading. And for any advice, anonymous Kamala supporter.
I'm reminded of a conversation I was having with a very, very, very close friend of mine who is as liberal as they come. You know, gay, married to a woman, mixed race, child. The woman is not white. Worked for the government, like doing homeless things, like super liberal, all things like that. And in my frustration with a lot of things that liberals do, I was venting and she was like, and she said to me, "Is my one of my best friends?" She just went, "She goes, but you're talking about me." And because I love her, I realize that I am, of course, grouping together people. And look, I get grouped with people all the time. I don't like it when I get blamed for things that dumb white women do because I'm not one of them. Like, I don't appreciate the the dumb, like, well, you guys don't even season your food and you're just some rich white lady doing that. And it's just like, relax. Because I'm Jewish, so it's a little bit different. And then I don't like getting grouped in with anything. No one does. Nobody likes to be part of a monolith. Everybody's an individual. And there are things that liberals have done which are incredibly damaging, and progress that has been undone because everybody needs to have literally everything their way all the time, and you're canceled if you misgender someone, and that's not all queer people. But it is a loud minority on the internet that really it's why we have a bullshit candidate. It's why we don't have better picks for our president. And it's why we got in this situation, because every liberal needs everything said their way. My pronouns right, or you're canceled, or you're awful. Like that trans woman whose like whole thing is going online and seeing if the waiter misgenders her.
That's a crazy person. Yeah.
That is a crazy person, but that's something that we see. And then you're like, okay, well, I don't want to talk to these people now because I don't want to be called a bad person. Like it gets exacerbated, right? And all of a sudden people who are very normal and don't, and support all kinds of liberal things, you start to feel like you're the bad guy no matter what you do. And it kind of, liberals don't realize how you're like radicalizing normal people. Anyways, she said that. She goes, but you're talking about me. And I realized that speaking in sweeping statements doesn't help anything. And here I was thinking she and I will totally understand each other because we're cut from the same cloth, like initially. Yeah. And it humanized it for a moment because I was like, well, I hate that, but she's that and I don't hate her.
Yeah.
So I do think it's worth, like, look, your friend is an idiot who doesn't have a mind of her own and she's going through a divorce like a lot of women do when they realize their husbands are crazy. It's not necessarily your problem, and that's really kind that you want to help her through that. So I do think you need to say to her, we either need to not discuss politics. It's kind of like being friends with a Christian person that is very nice but believes you're going to hell.
You're right.
Like that's very hard.
You can't talk about it.
Yeah, so we're on the same basketball team, but you genuinely believe I'm going to burn in like a fiery roaster.
And that I deserve to burn in a fiery roaster. Like that doesn't bother
but you're nice to me? Like that's weird.
Right.
I don't need it. It doesn't sound like you need this friendship, but you obviously see something redeeming in this woman. Is the redeeming thing that she's someone hurting? Therefore, as a woman, you're like, should I just be there for her? Because it sounds like she doesn't sound intelligent. Like I don't think she could back up any of these things. Is she the kind of person where if you're like, well, let's unpack this. Like, let's talk about it. Where you might arrive at an understanding. Is there some purple space you guys can get to? You can either decide like, hey, if we're going to be friends, I think you've got your opinions and we're so far apart. We either need to not discuss politics, but I can't sit here and sustain the hatred that you have for liberals, whatever that means. I can't shoulder that right now because these are very real issues and these are very real threats. I think it's more about how she's willing to react to you bringing up these concerns and how much your feelings were hurt to see if she even really deserves your friendship.
Yeah, I think this is particularly tough because she is in an abusive relationship. And to make a sweeping statement, I think a lot of people drawn to Trump, feels very similar to an abusive relationship. He's so mean to them. He would never want to hang out with any of his supporters. He says horrible things about them. He makes it's very similar. But he's telling people what to do. And hey, the hateful things you're thinking are okay. So it's very similar to a relationship with her husband. So there is, in my mind, this glimmer of hope that if you get her away from the husband, she'll go back to the person that you wanted to be friends with. That's
not your job, though.
But it's like, not your job.
Your sister. And also, is this the kind of person where if you brought up something logical, because lately the things that are coming out of this camp, like I wouldn't even call them Republicans. I would call it this like new wave of conservative, like don't tread on me flags. Like it is. These are not like, this is not Reaganomics. These are not your parents' conservatives. These are not people who like just want a tax break, which I get.
Right. This isn't John McCain even.
No, this is a totally radicalized thing. Is this the kind of thing where if you're like, well, actually, here are the facts. Here's why they're actually not eating cats and dogs.
They don't believe in facts.
Is she willing to be like, oh, okay. Yeah, I get that. If not, she may not want to be saved. And that's not your job. If you cannot even have a discussion,
right?
Intelligent people can be like, look, I hate this. Well, I hate that. Well, can we agree on this? Yes. Because most intelligent conservatives I know, like it's a good conversation. and they're not spouting off weird conspiracies. You know, that's broken. Those are broken people.
Well,
I'm not saying there's not broken liberals out there, but if you're doing conspiracy, you're telling me that Jews control the weather. You are angry about what's happened to you in your life and you're looking for a scapegoat.
I was sucked in reading these posts from this guy because Trump was in Coachella and there was a rally.
At the same time as me.
At the same time. And there were not enough buses.
I drove home surrounded by F-350s with giant flags.
Well, so they were saying all these elderly people were stuck at this rally because they only had one bus going. And there was no, and this guy is posting like, we need to look into this. The Democrats sabotaged us. And it's like, no, they planned the rally poorly. The Democrats aren't going out to Coachella 100%. He doesn't care.
Trump just didn't want to pay for you to have transportation. And I'm sorry, the second you tell me to get on a bus, you've lost my vote.
Well, yeah, exactly. But it's like, this guy is like, it's never, how could Trump do this to us? It's like, why did there was no fuel at nearby fuel stations. Obviously, all the Democrats took all the fuel so that all these old people would be stuck here. So it's like, if this woman is like that, you're stuck.
As a Jew, when I hear that, I'm just like, it's just 1 degree removed from, and the Jews did it. Like, that makes me quake in my boots. Yeah. So that's the answer. Don't worry about this fucking loser.
No.
That's my real answer.
Let's talk some more about Jewish people. Highlights.
By the way, I love a good conservative. I love a salient point. I love a tax cut. Like, this is not about not liking someone because they're conservative. I really don't enjoy both sides.
Yeah.
And if I could be independent and vote in primaries, I would, but you can't. So
no. When we look back and I'm like, oh, I miss George W. Bush.
No, you don't.
You
miss being young.
Well,
you miss not having to think about this.
As a child, I was very attracted to Bill Clinton. I know he's got a lot going on now, but
it's the most insight I've ever gotten into your sex life. Was that just now? There was this comedian when I started named Kathy Lewis, who still works today, and she was this black woman, and her voice was like this. This is what she talked like. This is exactly what she sounded like. Yeah. And she had a joke about how this is probably hacky now, but I think she was like the first one to do it. She was like, Bill Clinton was the first black president. He had a size 13 shoe. He loved to eat Mickey D's. He played a saxophone. And then what was it? And then I think she had some joke. This is how long ago this was. Yeah. She had some joke about the word Beyonce. Mm-hmm. Like going down on her, like, Beyonce. And then everyone's uncomfortable and she goes, you white people probably thinking, what the hell is a Beyonce? That's how old the joke is. That like Beyonce still wasn't Beyonce. He liked to eat Mickey D's. Get a great voice. That's 13 shoe. All right.
Okay. Hi, Iliza and friends. I am looking for advice on being supportive of my Jewish neighbors. My family lives in the Midwest and moved to our current neighborhood 3 years ago. We have slowly gotten to know a family down the block. Our kids are the same age and we're assigned the same classroom. We are acquaintances, but not at the official friend stage. They've made comments about Hanukkah gifts and recently dropped off Hamantaschen on Purim. I hit Hamantaschen so good.
That's a very St. Louis way to say it. On perm.
So I think
that's the Nelly way to say it. Or a day on perm.
That's what you need to be cool. You need to Nelly to do a song, not Adam
Get
Sandler.
You some Hamantaschen on perm. Yeah.
All right. So I think it's safe to assume they are Jewish, but since we've never talked about it directly, I feel weird acknowledging it. All I'm thinking is kind words on holidays or asking about plans for celebration, like wishing them a happy Hanukkah instead of saying Merry Christmas. It's important to me to be considerate of other cultures instead of defaulting to white/Christian/cis language. I use preferred pronouns and actually learn how to pronounce someone's name instead of Americanizing it. It's not that hard. We live near Minneapolis, so there's more diversity here than one might think when you hear Midwest. With all the anti-Semitism happening, I just want to make clear that our home is a safe place to share that part of their lives. We make small talk often, but have never had deeper conversations. I'd love your perspective about how to offer casual support without being over the top or weird. Any meaningful gestures that could convey, hey, sorry the world sucks, but you can count on us? Ashley.
It's such a strange thing because I find that when people do that, I always feel, I know it's coming from a good place, but I always feel like a little othered. And I remember during Black Lives Matter, you texted all of your black friends or people
you shouldn't have, but
I see, you know what? I know that everything you do as a white person is wrong. I get that. But I had fans reach out Like my tour manager on Yom Kippur reached out the day before and she said, Yom Tov, and I hope you have a good time at your concert, whatever. And I was like, oh my God, first of all, I'm blown away that you said something in Hebrew. And she's like, I'll be honest, I Googled it.
Yeah.
I thought that was a very sweet thing. I would never say Yom Tov because it doesn't feel cool to say.
Yeah.
And I think it's all about the effort and the intention. And I remember the question somebody once wrote into our podcast, like, what gift do I bring a Jewish person? I'm like, any gift you'd give a regular person, you know? And the truth is, if the shit really hit the fan, you know, if you had like a World War II situation, like what kind of an ally would you be?
Yeah.
I think for me, I don't mind when people say Merry Christmas, and I also, you know, some Jews are quiet Jews. Like they may not like Israel. They may not be practicing Jews. Like you kind of just never know the level. But I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. It's also, because let me just say this. You don't know them.
Right.
So there is part of you in your sweetheart that you're wanting to be like, just so you know, like I'm here for everyone and I want everyone. And that's great. First of all, make sure you like these people.
They could suck.
Because they may suck.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh no, we're going to Shabbat. After you get to know them first. Because I don't believe in this thing where it's like, and I love all genders and races and colors, no matter what a dick you are.
Yeah.
Get to know them first as people. And by the way, halfway through, you may be like, we don't love this.
Yeah.
Maybe your kids like each other. And you can always do something casual, like be like, hey, if you guys ever, once you become friends, including each other in the holidays, you know, that's cool that they brought Hamantaschen. It's usually pretty dry. I feel like almost saying nothing shows a support.
I think you're just
I know
saying
that sounds,
what they said, which is saying Happy Hanukkah instead of Merry Christmas.
That's nice.
That's
small
perfect.
things. You
That's
don't have,
it.
Yeah, you don't have to go out of your way. You don't have to do anything. You know, do they celebrate Shabbat? If your kids, I don't personally, but like maybe you could be like, hey, maybe our daughter could come over for Shabbat one night and you guys could come over for Sunday dinner, you know? Just things like if the kids are close.
Yeah.
But I personally think a great way to make space, because anytime you say anything Jewish, we're like, how did you know that? And you don't want to feel tokenized. We always know it comes from a good intention.
Mm-hmm.
A simple like Happy Hanukkah
I think that's it.
is fine. You don't have to go out of your way for us. You know, maybe just a casual, I stand with Israel. No, you don't have to say that if you don't want to. But I think the times that have meant the most to me were when people just listened.
Yeah.
And like, I hate the term like held space, but like didn't say, you can say something back, but like, it's not even about agreeing as much as just like, oh, I hear that. Oh, thank you for telling me that, you know? But make sure you like them as people first. Because that's the whole thing with feminism where it's like support all women ever. I'm like, what if she's a fucking bitch? Like that doesn't, make sure you like these people. But the slightest thing for the holiday or whatever.
Yeah.
How was your Rosh Hashanah? Something as simple as that. How was it?
You got any leftover Hamantaschen for me?
We love them. We love a dry cookie with a weird fruit compote.
Yeah. I love it.
You know, oh, you guys going to services for whatever? Oh, can my daughter go? She, you know, I would love for her to experience that. You know, just if you're close. I went to church with a friend a couple times, like whatever.
I would say go with them because I went to church as a child and I was scared when I went with other people's families.
Okay. But yeah, that's what I was saying. But that's very sweet, you know?
Yeah. Your heart's in the right place. You're overthinking it because you're trying to be nice and that's okay. All right, Taba.
Have a little girl over to your house. Whatever. Okay, fine.
Give her a dreidel and say, welcome. You're welcome here.
In March.
Taba the Cobb.
It's the top of the cob. We're doing it right every day. You just take a bite, top of the cob.
Let's start with bottom.
Let's start with bottom.
I got a good one.
Okay, do you want to save it or do you want to go first?
No. Okay, I'll go first.
Okay.
This thing where an interview resurfaces, quote unquote, and then we reattack a celebrity is such a profound display of ineptness and people who feel powerless demonstrating some sort of control. I just like, I think there was this interview with like Anne Hathaway.
Okay, this is the same. Yes, this is the same woman who did this to Blake Lively, which we discussed.
Right.
So now the second time I'm like, maybe you're not a very good interviewer.
You know, maybe, or look, I can appreciate as these interviewers, you're just trying to do your job, which is kind of like you got to interview these celebrities. Like, it's not ideal for anyone. But this thing where they showed Anne Hathaway and then they showed, it was like Hugh Jackman or someone who like was having fun with it. Well, surprise, they're two different people.
Right.
And yes, in a weird way, no, you're not allowed to give a bad answer because you're in that room, you're doing a job. But so she gave a bad answer 1 billion years ago.
Yeah.
And we're going to re-attack her all over again. I've had this happen where like I've said something and I've apologized and I've done everything that I can. And then every few years, a new generation of kids learns how to use their fucking thumbs and they get on the internet like, why did you say this? And it's like this thing where you grow, you never make the same mistake again, but you have to keep answering for it just because people are bored is so fucking pathetic. And it gets to the point where no matter what that person said, even if Anne Hathaway was like, I fucking hate you, you're terrible at this. Chances are she dealt with that blowback and we've moved on.
Yeah. Especially because remember, I always think about, I adore her and I think she's very talented. And I think about how she basically got ousted because people were like, oh, she's too earnest. She's like too happy to be here doing this job. So we don't like her. And she's not goofy enough with James Franco. So we don't like her. It's like being asked to sing your answers when you're a singer. It's like, Iliza, what if they have you up and they're like, do every answer in the form of a knock knock joke? Like,
by the way,
leave me alone.
By the way, you are doing press for a movie. People don't understand this because they have no context for anything other than their own mediocre fucking lives. She is sitting in the Four Seasons in a nice room, but in that room, hours, the same questions over and over from interviewers who do not care, people who are weird, inept. So I'm sorry, somebody gets up, do you remember your first crush? And she just says, no, I don't. That means she's tired. And that's a perfectly acceptable answer. She doesn't have to say sorry. No, she doesn't want to sing. Like, that's great that you're trying to like make a name for yourself.
Right.
Do it some other way. Or that today's just not your interview. But this thing where it's like footage resurfaces, meaning it had already been at the surface at some point, we reacted. To me, it's this like bottom feeder content and it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, this thing we already put to bed, let's get angry again so we can just take aim at some random celebrity.
Especially the interviewer being the one to recirculate it and be like, look, this is what Anne did to me. It's like...
And I'm not playing the victim. It's like, why are you doing this? Like, there's this weird internet thing where we like to talk about someone who hurt us. What you're hoping when you resurface that clip deliberately, whether she did it or not is unclear to me. She
posted it.
Yeah. And what was the caption? Like, this was awful for me.
She pulls up interviews and sees like, here's a good interview. Here's a bad interview you did it on purpose. Instruction. Yeah.
It's right. You're doing it hoping people will rally against Anne Hathaway, publicly behead her, and you will absorb her star power. That is what's under that. Whenever people bring up a public grievance with someone that is miles above them and they didn't actually do anything, it'd be different if somebody like sexually harassed you and you processed it and years later you're bringing it up. There's no statute of limitation on that.
Anne didn't walk out. Yeah, she wasn't like, you don't get an interview.
Gives you a bad interview years ago and people have already gotten mad at her for it and you're bringing it up again. I'm sorry, just like a slow day at the office.
Yeah.
It's such loser energy.
Yeah.
Rehashing it. That's my bottom.
That's a pretty good bottom because I was annoyed by that.
Top that. Top my bottom.
Okay. My bottom is I'm so tired this week from my big travel. My big New York travel, my big day.
That big award. I love it.
My big award. And just a long week of work and I just didn't sleep well. And so I was like sitting there on the couch like, okay, I got up early. I was like, I'm going to have fun today. I'm going to do fun stuff. I'm going to watch movies. I'm going to play my game. And I fell asleep. That's not fun.
Is that much different than watching a movie?
And then I woke up and I was like, oh.
I'm going to have fun today.
My morning's gone.
I'm going to have fun today. I'm going to do the same thing I always do. Just a little bit longer. None of it involved going outside.
No. Absolutely not. No.
I have to tell you something.
Yeah.
You're going to die. And you need to go outside and you need to have a carrot.
Do I need to eat the carrot outside?
You need vitamin D.
Yeah, I take pills for that.
That's awful. Like you have ample sunlight.
No, I don't. I have trees all around my neighborhood.
You're lucky. Some of us don't. So.
All right. We got a fan bottom. Hey, Liza and Emily, it's Tim again. You know, one of your 7 male listeners who had the question read a few months ago about the Vegas trip and my friend's wife being on her don't take shit era. Anyway, I have bottom of the cob about your show in Charlotte next Friday.
No.
My wife bought tickets for us to go, but she didn't realize I had a commitment already for a sport I play professionally. Think like disc golf. Okay, so it's not disc golf. What is it?
What's similar to disc golf? Like competitive frisbee? Ultimate frisbee?
I guess it's our final
I bet
event
it
of the
is.
season. So there's money on the line and some commitments to teammates I couldn't skip. I'm highly disappointed I won't get to see you. She's going to the show with her mom, so they'll get to enjoy you, and I'll miss out. Feel free to do some jokes on my behalf during your crowd work about how lame I am for not going. I'll make sure I'm around next time you're in town. P.S. I'm an only child, and someone asked me the other day if I could have a sibling, what would it be? And I said, I'd want an older sister and realized that's how I view you. Thank you for your
Aw.
wisdom, sis. Thanks, Tim. Or one
Thanks,
man,
Tim.
1 of 7.
Tim, I think you're really overstating your importance in my life. And I'm already seeing the Yelp reviews of like, she talked about this guy named Tim.
I know. You just get up there and do 20 minutes
No,
about Tim. Like, what sport do you play, Tim? It's not disc
You know what,
golf.
Tim? As the Lord told me when I worked on Yom Kippur, get that paper.
Yeah. Go
Go
win.
get your paper. Yeah,
You
go-
better
go
come
win.
back having won this money on the line if you're skipping the show.
You better come back with this money, Tim.
Yeah.
And good luck at Ultimate Wiffle Ball.
All right. Top.
God.
Do you want to go last or first?
Yeah, I'll go last.
Okay. I have
Oops,
a weird
I
one.
already said my top.
No, you better start thinking. I have one that's kind of gross, but maybe not. We'll see how you feel. Also specific. You know when you get out of bed and it's finally a little chilly and you're still wearing your
No.
PJs and you
No, I don't know that feeling.
and you smell a little bit not great. You haven't taken a shower yet. And then you just put on a sweater and you're like, I'm just going to live like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good feeling. You got a sweater,
Yeah,
you
that's good.
stink a little bit and no one's going to see you.
That's good. Yeah, stay stinky and alone. Good.
No, you know what I mean, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
All right.
When you're cold, what?
When it starts to get wintry, you're like, I can just throw on a sweater and live my day like this.
Oh, when I filmed my sketch show and I lived in Brooklyn, I wore a black and white sweater to work so often that the crew went as me for Halloween because I wore it so much. And when it's cold, you don't want to shower.
Yeah.
You're not really stinky. So
No.
you're just like kind of just in your own skin cocoon, but still nice. Yeah, totally.
Now I have a related top of the cup from a fan. Hello, AIA crew. I've been a fan since your war paint days. It always makes me so happy to see you succeed as much as you do. So my top of the cup is I went to your Back in Action tour in Reno, Nevada. Your last show before Sierra was born. You rocked it at 9 months pregnant. I got one of your sweatshirts and they are the softest and fell in love right away. The day after your show, I was doing more home renovations and I ruined the sweater. So I was super bummed. I still wear it at home. So I was waiting to buy it online. After a while, I kind of gave up, but I was listening to your podcast this week. You talked about merch, went to your website. It was there and on sale. Bought it right away and I'm so excited to get it. Thanks for all the laughs each week, Laura B.
I love that, Laura B. Thank you.
Yeah.
You do make good merch.
You do.
My top of the cob,
Your new top.
I was looking at the tour schedule and I've had like a bear of travel lately.
Mhm.
In addition to a lot of projects that require me being on Zooms and turning in drafts and just like a lot of mental stuff.
Yeah.
But I had this like chunk that was coming up where it was a lot of like driving and getting to the gig. And so like last week, we were in the Midland in Kansas and that was great. We went to St. Louis, but then I got home and I had to fly so I didn't get home. I had to go from St. Louis on Sunday. Instead of spend the day with my daughter, I had to fly to Salt Lake City on Sunday, spend the whole day by myself so I could wake up in Salt Lake City on Monday and do promo with the Utah Jazz, which was so great of them to do that.
That's fine.
And Swig, the big soda shop there, and their hockey team. And so we shot that and I came home at 3, like just in time to have dinner with Sierra. And then the next day I had work to do, but then I had to fly. Then on the Wednesday, I'm just saying this was just like a lot. I had a photo shoot that was like 9
And
hours.
then in there, you fit in a recording of this show, last week's episode.
We did a fitting,
Yeah.
and then I had that. And then from the shoot for this beauty brand, I had to go directly to a fitting at the end of the day for my special. So you can't afford to like race that.
Yeah.
Then the next morning I had to fly to Toronto for a private gig.
Yeah.
And then I had to leave the next day on Friday morning to fly home. We were delayed 3 hours.
Ugh.
And so I get home. I'm going to put both of these in here.
If this
This was
you
my
have
top
two
of the
tops.
cob.
Okay, all right.
Is I got, because they go together.
okay.
And I got home. I got home on Friday, and Saturday morning, Noah had something to go do with someone. And I was like, that's fine. I'll do something with Sierra. And I made us a little day. And I had been looking forward to this because I am so busy. And I think most moms will understand this, that like I have to pencil in time to be with her. There are some days that I don't even see Ethan. And it breaks my heart because all I want to do is be with her. All I do is look at pictures of her when I'm not around her.
Yeah.
So on Saturday, I got her to get dressed and I took her to buy shoes at like Carter's. Like we didn't go to like Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
But I had her dress up in a cute little outfit and I took her, I was like, we're going on a special date. And I bought her shoes because her feet are huge. And then I took her to Home Goods, which I refuse to believe is a luxurious thing. Like women are like, I get my coffee and I go to Home Goods. I went to buy her a mirror. We didn't get the mirror, but she was like in Candyland looking at everything.
Yeah.
And we didn't buy one thing because I was like, it's a lot of garbage.
Yeah.
We don't need this. We don't need a skeleton with a Santa hat dipped in glitter for Easter.
Yeah, you do.
And then I took her to CVS and I let her pick out all the Halloween candy.
That's so fun.
And I just getting to be with her and just having that little day. And it was a productive thing. And yes, I could have sent my assistant to get the Halloween candy and I could have ordered the shoes on Amazon.
No, it's a fun
But just
day.
being able at the end of it to carve out that time. And I knew that I only had that day because yesterday I had to drive what turned out to be like 3.5 hours to get to Coachella to do the gig. And I drove home right after. And I'm leaving again when I have full press and I leave again Wednesday to go to Charleston, which I'm excited about because my mom is coming on the tour for 3 days. So sorry, this is very long. This is to say I looked at my tour schedule and not that I don't enjoy all the cities. We booked them deliberately, but it's only like, it's all easy from here on out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's this run, then it's New York, then it's the special, then I take a vacation, then it's Idaho, which is always awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's, San Francisco. Like it's all these like great markets that have always been slam dunk. So I really feel like I put in the work through what has been like a pretty difficult season for almost every performer. And so I'm just happy that I kind of get to take not so much a break, but that the travel's easy now.
You know what to expect for the rest of it.
Yeah, there's no more like I was really mentally struggling with like having to get on a plane to go to Toronto. And the gig was great and we raised so much money for Mount Sinai Hospital, but I just
tired.
It'll be nice to have an hour or two to actually do some computer work.
Oh, the funnest.
And through it all, Tianfu's mouth remains chunky.
Rude.
And that's what I want my parishioners to take with them today. Go to Patreon, sign up for the free Patreon. We have some very cool shows coming up. I don't mean to tease it, but if you live in the LA
I've said
area.
multiple times, you're like, I don't want to be that person in LA who's like, secret project coming.
No, because I didn't say that. I didn't say, you guys, big things coming.
You basically
Stay
are.
tuned.
You're like, sign up for the Patreon. Something's happening.
All right, you know what? Fuck this. We're gonna do live recordings of Ask Iliza Anything coming up. And we're going to be posting that info. We're going to be asking you to participate. And if you're in the LA area, we would love to see you in that audience. Okay, that's what's coming up.
Yeah.
That's what the Patreon's all about. Trying to have something nice. Merry Christmas. Happy Purim. And remember, as always, it is pronounced Hermantation. And we'll see you guys in Charleston, Charlotte, and Durham, which is already sold out. Maybe there's like one ticket left. It's going to be hot Southern Fire. And I'll see you in New York. Get your tickets for that. And I'll see you at the taping in Salt Lake City. I heavily encourage flying in for it. And then I'm coming to you, Boise, Idaho. Secretly awesome comedy town.
The first ever Kia K4 seamlessly combines bold style and advanced tech. With striking star map LED headlights and an available panoramic display, the Kia K4 delivers design and function. The available surround view and blind spot view monitors can help provide added confidence. Plus, Sirius XM comes standard, bringing you closer to what you love. The Kia K4 balances aesthetics and innovation. Learn more at kia.com/K4. Surround view and blind spot view monitors may not detect all objects around or behind the vehicle.
Life can throw a lot your way in the morning. You might be battling drop-off times, while your kids are battling imaginary monsters or their shoelaces. But no matter what life brings, Life cereal puts a smile on everyone's face. With 24 grams of whole grains and unexpected sweetness in every serving, it's sure to please even the pickiest eaters. Help start your mornings with Life cereal.
I really love my life.